Sometimes you're watching the TV and you see a face you haven't seen in a while, and you're thinking to yourself, is this my former work colleague or my former neighbor? And as you're thinking a bit deeper, it hits you. You're actually staring at your former favorite footballer, but he doesn't look the same again. Where does he play? What does he do? Little do you know that he destroyed his career. Let's go over the footballers who destroyed their careers. I'm sure you already guessed the first person that was going to be on this list. Oscar dos Santos Emboaba, otherwise known as Oscar the Magician. This guy already had it all: the money, the fame, the titles, and was already on his way to becoming one of football's biggest superstar and a Chelsea FC legend. But for some people, the money is just not enough, no matter how much. This guy said, Chelsea fans, I'm off to China. Like, everyone watched in shock as Oscar did Chelsea, did Europe entirely, and went to China in 2016. It was some club named Shanghai SIPG that made this move happen. Apparently, they paid the equivalent of about $60 million. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is going to be hard for a lot of people to turn down, especially someone like me. Especially if I'm thinking about my football career as a sort of capitalistic investment for my other future enterprises for when I choose to retire eventually. But doing this at the age of 25, when I could alternatively be having my name etched into the minds of football fans worldwide and have my legacy stamped in history, while also still making maybe not as crazy but still satisfactory amount of money for investment while I'm at it, is diabolic behavior. Or maybe it's just me. I mean, his football start after that move went necessarily bad because he did put up a good 54 goals in about 171 games and also helped his club win a league title in 2018. When you think about what that cost him, I mean, look at what that did to his national team career. For example, 2017 was the last time he ever appeared for Brazil. He wasn't called up for the 2018 World Cup, the 2022 World Cup, and most likely been missing out on the 26th World Cup, without stating the obvious fact that he's not getting any younger. I mean, he's 33. This is the age when he should be having his name rival with the likes of Kaká and Ronaldinho as one of Brazil's greatest midfielders. But at the end of the day, in football, money doesn't write history, greatness does. And Oscar chose to disappear. Rich, yes, but irrelevant. But one person whose relevance wasn't the kind anyone should have had for a football career is the boy Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood was the future. He broke onto the scene like a rocket. Personally, for me, he's one of the players I've always enjoyed watching because he had or still has a form of refreshing football, especially in a time like this when football is getting very tactical and boring, to be honest. But he was a delight to watch with his dribbles, skillful moves, and also his trademark real-time shots. I mean, his stats also speak for themselves. Youngest ever European scorer for Manchester United, 17 goals in a single season by the age of 19. Everything was indicative of a positive trajectory in Mason Greenwood's career. Then in 2022, the unexpected crash came. Social media got flooded with shocking audios and photos of Mason Greenwood and his girlfriend. Greenwood was accused of assaulting his girlfriend Harriet Robson, and just like that, the world turned on him overnight. He got arrested, and that was the beginning of his court case dealings. He was charged with assault and coercive behavior. Man United had to suspend him, even though at the time it took a while because they were seemingly trying to mitigate the situation. But after getting a lot of heat from their supporters and probably a few phone calls from their lawyers, he had to take definitive action. He also lost endorsements and sponsorship deals because no brand was trying to be associated with all the commotion that was going on. Now, the tension has eased up a little bit on Mason Greenwood, but the damage is still done. The case was dropped in 2023 with key witnesses pulling out, and not to mention that he got married to the person who he apparently abused and also has a child with her, which is why this case meets fans with a lot of confusion. Is he supposed to be met with public support or public scrutiny? Let me know your thoughts on the Mason Greenwood situation. Also give this video a thumbs up if you would like to support this small channel. Right now, his career is no longer the same. I mean, he still plays for Marseille and has had a decent season so far, but he no longer has the positive trajectory he once did while he played at Man United. Very reminiscent of Jack Wilshere. Just like Mason Greenwood, Jack Wilshere was England's golden boy. Every football fan remembers that particular game against Barcelona where Jack Wilshere didn't just make a name for himself in the football world. He made a statement. He let everyone know he was here to stay. Anyone who's an Arsenal supporter knows Wilshere was the future of the club. It was inevitable. But unfortunately, there's the part where footballers cannot control their fate. Ankle injury, knee injury, hamstring injury, you name it. It got so bad that between 2012 and 2018, he only appeared in 66 games. Think about it. 66 games in 6 years. For most who have never played professional football, it will be hard to grasp what that kind of situation does to your mind and even your game. But the real issue started when he started having attitude problems with the then Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger. He said to have been constantly rude and disrespectful towards both the managerial staff and his teammates. He got caught smoking one time, and after much back and forth for a few months with the Arsenal management, they decided to let him go. After his Arsenal career, he bounced around a few clubs, but nothing substantial came out of it. He eventually retired at the early age of 30. What makes him more disappointing is that he retired without any farewells or ceremonial send-offs. If you had told any Arsenal fan that this was how it was going to end for Jack Wilshere, they wouldn't have believed you. They would have sworn he was going to get a statue next to Thierry Henry's. Another crazy downfall is that of Robinho. And when I say crazy downfall, I'm talking criminal level type of downfall. Now with Robinho, is the one player I can confidently say I think was actually better than Ronaldinho, even though I know a lot of uneducated football fans will disagree with me. But just mainly watching his game, you know exactly what I mean. But that's the topic of discussion for another day. When he started, he already had the stars aligning for him. In today's age, when footballers are actively paying marketing agencies to run PRs to boost their image, this guy didn't need any of that. He was already being touted as the next Pele, and rightfully so, because if you had seen him play as a young teenager, you would have come to the same conclusion yourself. As if that wasn't enough, Pele himself endorsed him, and you know he doesn't get any crazier when Real Madrid decide to come get your signature, and then a couple years later, Man City broke transfer record for him. You get the drift. But all this high trajectory eventually came crashing down, and happened bit by bit. It first started with his attitude. This brother was always late to training and was occasionally even absent. Much like his Brazilian compatriot Ronaldinho, was addicted to partying. By the way, this is a behavior that seems to be consistent with the most talented footballers. They party so much to the detriment of their professionalism, it eventually starts to take a toll on their career. We've seen it with Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, and also Robinho. He inevitably dropped down from the big leagues to teams in Brazil, China, and Turkey. But the worst thing to happen in his career was about to come. In 2017, an Italian court found Robinho guilty of SA. I'm trying to avoid being red flagged by YouTube, so excuse me for using abbreviations. Anyways, to cut the long story short, he got a 9-year sentence and refused to hand over himself. Brazil refused to extradite him also, so he has had to stay locked in the country, which means his football legacy can be kissed goodbye. But this was a very disappointing story for someone who even Pele crowned himself as the next king. But if I told you Mario Balotelli is still playing professional football, would you believe it? Yeah, that's 100% correct. Mario Balotelli is one of those players you're watching an old game and you're thinking he should be retired by now. But when watching Balotelli, you don't just think about how good he was, you also think about how crazy he was. It's something football fans know the most about him and quite frankly love the most about him. But his impulsive behavior has affected his career in many ways, which should not have been. By the time he hit 30, he was playing for clubs nobody cared about. Teams like Sion, Adana Demirspor, Genoa. Balotelli was actually one of the best strikers in the world, but his behavior off the pitch made him difficult to deal with, which is why teams were often quick to let him go within the space of just one bad season, where other players would have had the grace to prove themselves in subsequent seasons because of the nature of their relationships with the managers. I already made a video on just how crazy Mario Balotelli was. You should check that out. But in the meantime, let me know your thoughts in the comment below.